Remember when character deaths had us on the edge of our seats, shedding tears? Those were the days when every battle mattered, but somewhere along the line, death in Dragon Ball completely lost its bite. Who can forget when Goku's first death against his bro Raditz shook the whole fandom to its core? That was a game-changing moment that showed the stakes were crazy real. But then the Dragon Balls became more prominent, and suddenly we had a way to reverse death itself. Our heroes became practically invincible, although there were a few limitations. The limitations from the Dragon Balls themselves. The Dragon Balls have the power to revive individuals, but they can only be used to bring a person back to life once. This limitation adds a layer of depth to the storytelling, as characters can't exactly be repeatedly brought back to life using the same set of Dragon Balls. The time limit. There's a time limit for reviving individuals using the Dragon Balls. For instance, in the case of those who die of natural causes, they cannot be brought back to life no matter how many times the Dragon Balls are used. These rules initially maintained a sense of consequence and finality to the character deaths, making every loss feel monumental, and straight up evoking dread and sorrow in both the characters and the fans. These rules changed during the Future Trunks saga. This saga marked a significant shift in the significance of character deaths in Dragon Ball Z, or just in Dragon Ball in general. The harsh reality of Goku's heart virus and the merciless elimination by androids 17 and 18 in that dystopian future hammered home that sometimes not even wish-granting orbs can fix everything. This saga gave us an unforgiving reality where consequences stuck, making every single fight for survival nail-bitingly intense and just beautiful to watch. It was during this saga that Death Last had us shook to the core, and it reflected a shift from fear of losing beloved heroes to indifference about their temporary visit to the other world. Now, I will say there is a couple exceptions, to me at least, for example in the Buu saga when Vegeta does a self-sacrifice move. But ignoring all of those, the Future Trunks saga is realistically the only time where it had an actual impact. In the aftermath of the Namek saga, the rules governing the Dragon Balls underwent a significant shift, altering everything in the Dragon Ball universe. The once firm limitations that added depth to the storytelling were completely reshaped, leading to a transformation in the significance of character deaths. Firstly, the Dragon Balls could now be used to revive individuals multiple times, essentially removing the previous restriction of one revival per person. This change fundamentally altered the stakes, as characters could now be brought back to life repeatedly, diminishing the gravity of their deaths. Now, obviously, there was a 6-month time limit between time of death and revival time, but that is still highly insignificant. In the world of Dragon Ball, 6 months is barely anything. Secondly, as mentioned before, the time limit for reviving individuals using the Dragon Balls was also adjusted. Unlike before, individuals who succumbed to natural causes were now eligible for revival again, regardless of the frequency of their deaths, creating a landscape where the consequences of mortality seemed so insignificant. The question went from who will survive to how quickly can they come back. This shift gave the series an immortal vibe to its characters, changing how we viewed danger and loss. The thrill of battle stayed intense and pretty much the same, but the shadow of mortality started fading in the background completely. Death was basically just a minor speed bump now. Compare those gripping moments from the Future saga to later sagas where character deaths barely raised an eyebrow from fans, just a casual, nah, I mean they'll be back at some point shrug. How do we go from, for example, the Frieza saga, where it was thought Krillin just died for real because the Dragon Balls were destroyed, to basically Whis flipping a switch and Frieza's back alive? What? The resurrection ability of the Dragon Balls could be limited or even permanently revoked, removing the safety net that has long mitigated the impact of character deaths. This would create a sense of finality to each loss, and making the actual emotional investment for every fight in Dragon Ball a lot better. When I was watching the Tournament of Power, realistically, we all knew Universe 7 was going to come out victorious. That was never going to happen. Their deaths were never going to actually happen. And I think every Dragon Ball fan knew that. Was it still exciting to watch? Fuck yeah. It was awesome. And don't get me wrong, the Tournament of Power, for example, had many cool emotional moments. Gohan looking at the pendant of the guy he just eliminated and his family. Frieza and Goku, these mortal enemies working together at the end. Vegeta speeches, that gave me goosebumps. Beerus, every fucking time that man opened his mouth, he was spitting heat. Those were all great moments, but I never really felt scared or fully emotionally invested in the deaths of Dragon Ball Super, because it was all sort of insignificant. I suppose we will just have to wait and see what Toyotaro does at this point, because the way it's looking right now, I don't think Dragon Ball Super is ever going to get a second season. But I'm hoping.